my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm sorry for my hair. I literally just got out of the shower, but I just had to react to that because I was checking my phone and I saw, okay, Genshin posted all the shades. We now know how each of them looks like, and there's a 9-minute video published about them. Oh, and also my name is Sinanda at my Genshin channel, but I just want to jump into that. If you want to skip to some part, there'll be chapters down there, but let's just start. I literally cannot wait any longer. We are seeing some bird. It's not a raven, is it? It's white. The animation style. Oh, wait a second. Animation style is so cool. It's like hand drawn. Very not Genshin-like, I would say. We are seeing an older lady and some scholars potentially. The world has not been changing. Telling a story to them. Oh my god. Oh my god. The rule of life. I'm gonna talk more about that later. Extremely messy part in Japanese there. Runava! Wait, that's how Runava looks like? Oh, okay, the different shades now. Who's the next one? The time. The time. Ruler or time. You're sitting. This is the first description of this deception. I cannot talk. I'm too hyped. Istaroth. Okay, I mean, we kind of knew this already. Talk more about that later. But what about Ku? What about the ruler of space? I thought this would be void from other games like the space, apparently, but more importantly, what is happening with her? She had a very similar voice actor as M from like Simulanka as well, but somehow she knows about the twins. She knows about everything. What is happening to her? Is it M? Okay, I mean M has died, but I'm not necessarily sure that's how she died. Is she alive? Okay, no. She's absolutely not alive. I am not sure this is how M died. But what is happening? Who? Who's the? Oh, wait, the little try thing. This is the ruler of death, Runava. Okay, Reindottir. Is this supposed to be her? Is this the first time we're seeing Reindottir? Jesus Christ, so many reveals. Thanks to the ruler of space. Ooh, what's happening in here? The ruler of space just killed someone as... Oh, what is that? Oh, a little bit of a tag girl. Oh, this is Nabius, right? Got nom-nommed. So they have been merged. That's how it looks like when they're merged. It seems like little... Yeah, little space inside the consciousness. Yeah, this Reindottir. Naberus on the other side. So she doesn't have any powers. All Reindottir who's having all the saying and all the powers, it seems like. And Istaroth is also here! Oh! Okay, what a history? Very interesting. She's looking so amazing. And Asmoday! That is the first mention of the name Asmoday. That is the unknown god, in case you don't know. There has been some theories, we kind of knew this already, but it's the first official mention. Oh, Asmoday? Is not here. Where is she? So she's absent? Okay, so it's time to close up. Okay, literally just the killing of the whole world, or... Might be... Wait, the cubes are different worlds or timelines or something? So many things I need to go through frame by frame after that. But there is Istaroth. This is Istaroth. It's coming down. Staircase. Is they have a meeting? Oh, they have a meeting, but there's 3 of them. Asmoday is not here. Yes, where is she? Where is she? Tenri. Yeah, this is the first time that Asmoday is not here. Oh! What? What? To which side? Wait, are they the good girls or the bad ones? What's happening? I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah, but what is switch sides? What is switch sides? So they are still the ones who are obeying the heavenly principles. Asmoday is the one who's not. Oh, and Asmoday has a new master. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this more later. However, someone is watching them. Who's that? Oh, traveler, potentially? Who's watching them? Someone aware of the shades. Pierro! My beauty. Remember, of course, Ronova was the one who put the immortality onto him. Yes, she was there, the cataclysm. It was not her work, it was the young Pierro, okay, young compared to, I guess, the current one. But yeah, it was not her who did the cataclysm, it was the ruler space, the unknown god, but she was the one with the immortality. They know each other, seems like, yeah. They do have a history, not gonna lie, obviously. Wait, do you guys know each other? Rindotir and Pierro? Okay, they know each other very well. Harbingers. And the Cry are gonna be stinker? Are we? Okay, so the Tsaritsa, as we kinda guessed, against the Heavenly Principles against Celestia. But Heavenly Principles is still not awakened? Okay. So that was true, what the brother or sister said. Thinking what way? What are they doing here? What are they planning? Intervene? The rules. I'm gonna talk all about this later. But for now, my god. Nod-krai! The star, the pale star, I think I was called, little machinery, little building there. Yeah, it's not a blasting. As you know, it's not a blasting. A lot of people have said it's not that, but the vision literally means the god's eye in like other languages. They want the vision. People want the vision. There's nod-krai in the background. Very beautiful place. He knows about that. He knows what happens then. Yes, I mean, no, yeah, Holkaria. He knows. He knows that very well. He's also Karian. Oh, the fight. Okay, what were you planning here, Pierro? Wait, whose mind? Okay, what is it Sarita saying? Any verse from her? Chat, we're getting the endgame. I'm having endgame vibes. We are about to fight Celestia. Which side are we gonna be on? I'm actually not even sure who's right here. Maybe they're gonna be like little ambiguous. We see a little bit of a nod-krai building. Very futuristic, I'd say, like space. And one of the parts of the nod-krai. Plus already. Oh, wait. Columbina! They have to retreat. She doesn't want to come with the other harbingers. What's happening there? It's time to analyze it. Because, oh boy, there is a lot to analyze. So first of all, in the first scene, we see an old woman reading a novel to, or like some story to some scholars. And who is this girl? From the voice, my first guess was M. As you know, M is part of the Hexen Circle, and she was an author. She was writing a lot of books, and we know her better thanks to the Simulanga storyline, where we also found out that she was just a normal human, and that's why she died earlier than the other witches. But it was never mentioned how did she die. But it definitely seems like the price to teaching others about the travelers and the shades is death. The world has never been changing, like it's always been the same. And here are some interesting parts. Life abides no reason, for none are born by their own consent. Which, first of all, relatable. Second of all, a very important part here, if you read in Japanese, reason in Japanese is ri. And if you have watched some of my previous videos, you already know what I'm going to talk about. From the very beginning of the game, how do we know about the shades? This is somewhat apparent in English as well, but it's like super explicit in Japanese and Chinese. The 5 artifact types are the 4 shades and the heavenly principles, and that 5th type is called the reason Ri, because the heavenly principles is Tenri, which is like the heaven's reasons, the heaven's laws, and that was translated as heavenly principles in English. But that means life is not necessarily on the heavenly principles side anymore. So all I'm saying is the heavenly principles and the shades are absolutely not on the same page. And as you see here, life is not abiding that. Life who's the ruler of life right here still before Andersdotter just nummed. But I really like this technological theme with like the little terminal and the DNAs around her. It's just super cool. And also pretty important, if you just look in the middle, there is the little star going around with like the three spikes. I don't know what's how it's called in English. The triquetra. That's the triquetra. This is the same thing that we see, you'll see, on all the shades, as well as Paimon. But it hasn't really been explored so far, and the fact that all the shades are having it is extremely suspicious. And talking about the shades, next up is the ruler of death, Ronova. Even though technically we have seen her beforehand as part of the Archon quest, this is the first time we see her in like a human form. And this is a super interesting scene because now that we see how she looks like, she is the omnipresence god in Inazuma. So does that mean that Ei has built a whole statue for her? Like the wings are the ones where she put all the visions? And also we have seen her beforehand, just I guess we didn't know she was Ronova. But she was in Kazuha's video just behind Ei. There's definitely some more connection to Ei. Also because of the fact that Ei has very similar wings. In one of her animations you could see like extremely similar ones. And she's not the only one who's sus from the shades. Because right away, we have the ruler time. Super interestingly, I have found out that in all 4 languages, which is English, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, that Genshin is officially voiced in all of those 4 languages, she has the same voice actress as Venti.
Asmoday はここにいないみたいだし。
There are just so many connections between Istaroth and Venti already ever since the very beginning of Genshin. I'm not even just talking about the mysterious island that you can visit that was built for Istaroth, obviously having very time elements, but also the fact that she has deep connections to Mondstadt, as she was actually worshipped in Mondstadt. She was called the Thousand Winds, and all the Thousand Winds temple and all that is for Istaroth, for her. And very suspiciously, she has the very similar tiara as Paimon has, and as like the game's logo as well, just like the other shades. Every shade has the triquetra so far, and there is one more shade left. Now officially confirmed, even though we kinda knew this already. Asmoday, how she's officially called, the ruler of space. In some other games it is translated as void, as like ruler of void. That is the same character, the same word in Japanese and Chinese. In Genshin, it's not void, it's space, but just so you guys know, that is basically the same. The ruler of space, now named officially Asmoday. People have already kinda knew that's gonna be her name, because first of all, as far as I know, in like an early versions of the game, the Unknown Gods model file name was Asmoday, and also Asmoday is part of the Ars Goetia, one of the demon names. And if you're here actually, all the other shades are also from Ars Goetia, as well as Archons. All the Archon names and shade names are from here. Super interestingly, Paimon is also from Ars Goetia. That is also a demon name. I know what you guys are saying, like Asmoday equals Paimon. I know about all those theories. I'm gonna talk about that, but a little bit later. I just wanted to mention because Asmoday and Paimon are 2 different demon names, so I'm not necessarily sure I can necessarily make the equal sign between them. And if you are here, I have another sad news. Even though Istaroth and Venti are 100% somehow connected because the voice actress, Istaroth and Barbatos are also 2 different names in the Ars Goetia, so they're likely not the same entity, but there has to be some connection. But I talked a lot about the ruler of space already in my previous videos. Let's just focus this time around about what on earth is happening to her. I don't know if this would be M, because like, first of all, we don't know how she died. We know that she has died because she's a human. She doesn't have as much of a lifespan as the witches. We don't know the reason for that, but I feel like if she was just killed by one of the shades, then maybe got mentioned about that. Or maybe not. Maybe that's forbidden knowledge. Who knows? And she also knows about the travelers, which I mean, it could still line up in the storyline even without time travel. As Asmoday stopped us like 500 years ago, so she had 500 years to somehow tell the story and die meanwhile. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is time travel. However, I mean, it has been introduced already in the latest Archon quest, so there might be. What's super important is that somehow, because of this knowledge, she was killed. And again, I'm not necessarily sure if this is the M or if this is the M from our world, because the next scene, extremely different art style. And just right after, maybe there is a little more confirmation on that, because while the English translation says, please don't litter other people's spaces with your bizarre creations, what the Japanese says, Hito no Kuji. Space and time, just from the previous Archon quest. Exactly the same word. So she wasn't only littering other people's spaces, but it looks like space times. There's definitely something weird with that, and the ruler of life, or right now Andersdotter, came here. We could see previously how Naberius looked like before the devouring, and Technically, Rindotir just took over everything because Naberius doesn't have any power anymore and not even her form. Talking about how the ruler of Void has destroyed this world. And while once again the English translation says that repeating the experiment would be fruitless, it's so much more simple in Japanese. The experiment here is over. And after the experiment is over, we finally see Istaroth here in this world as well. Why did you give history to those people? In Japanese, it's very specifically plural, so it's not like a singular them. She has given history to some people. I think the first thought in everyone's mind is the woman and the scholars. But another interesting theory could be, what if they're talking about the traveler maybe, or the traveler's sibling, giving them history as our sibling is in the Irminsul? And while this might be maybe a little too far-fetched, the fact that it's in quoting marks in both English and Japanese kind of suggests to me that it's not about the woman and the scholars. And also, why would she give them the book just so they can get destroyed? Istaroth is not really coming through as this evil person, so I think this might be about a traveler sibling. And basically she says that Asmoday is not here, so she was just bored. She wanted to pass some time, and now Asmoday is not found anywhere, which could be that she is hiding, since technically we have seen her. If you remember the latest Archon quest, there was this little spike just looking at us, very heavily resembling the same thing that we have seen at the start of the game, though with a little caveat that actually Ronova had somewhat of a similar power in this animation, so it's not like 100% sure that we've seen her, but it's like most likely was her just looking at us and somehow hiding from the other shades. But this is another thing that I'm gonna come back to a little bit later. So what is this world? Well, the English translation says it's time that I put this place out of the misery. In Japanese, I feel like this is just so much more interesting. In Japanese, she literally says, I pronounce this space-time dead. So once again, it's space-time, and she is like, this is now dead, and she is destroying the cube that this space-time was in. And I don't even know what it means for like the cataclysm. Like during the cataclysm, every single one of those cubes contained a whole space-time? I mean, that's the ruler of space who did this one, so I guess it kind of makes sense in a way. But the fact that what we are seeing could be just all different universes, that is crazy. If you pause in here, that is in space. Like, do you guys see the little debris in the background? Or could Tivet be in one of these cubes as well? I mean, quite possibly, right? Now, I know that in the Skirk anime, we have kind of seen a planet being opened up in the fake sky, but I mean, we don't know how big are these cubes. Maybe they have some curvature, no one knows. But this is in space. I see debris all over the place. And right after we see the meeting of the three shades. And this is where a lot of lore drop is happening, because first of all, we find out Asmoday is not here. And also, I literally just noticed, this is actually pretty cool, that the ruler of life has the Y and X in the eyes, obviously representing the chromosomes, and she has like a very DNA kind of vibe. But nonetheless, let's talk about the meeting. Istaroth wanna find Asmoday. You can also see the 4 stars coming together, that should be for the 4 shades. And Asmoday is very visibly not there, just the 3 other shades. Here comes a little interesting part by Rindotir. She just switched sides. In Japanese, it's very explicitly saying, what if she just betrayed us? Now, the big question, what are the 2 sides? It kind of sounds like that Ronova suggests, since they are in the shadows, the heavenly principles, kind of suggesting that these 3 shades are still for the heavenly principles. And Asmoday is now, what if she is serving a new master? And at this point, I think it is finally time to talk about Paimon. I have checked the Reddit, I have checked the comments. Every single one of you guys are going, Asmoday equals Paimon. I'm not gonna say this is the case. Definitely could be. I think there are so many signs for that, and also so many against that. It's very possible that she used to serve the heavenly principles, and something happened in that 500 years ever since we got separated and Paimon finding us. So it could be it's Paimon. Paimon is kind of obsessed about us, not gonna lie. Anytime we are away, she's crying. She's like, oh, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And this was one of the very first theories that people started kind of memeing about. And in one of my previous videos, if you're curious about Paimon's identity, I did mention there are a lot of weird things about Paimon. She for sure has some connection to the skies. There was also the Tapetasaur quest when the older guy said something along those lines that she's like a missionary of the skies or something like that. And also Paimon has the Omni element, the Triqueta, I think how it's called. I also have to say there are some evidence that might suggest that they're not the same. Now, it could be that she's under the unknown god, or like she's working for her or something, and Asmoday is now not for the heavenly principles. It definitely could be that Paimon joined with them, and now she is helping us to destroy the heavenly principles. But also besides that, Ars Goetia, as I mentioned before. And all the demon names are the ones that they use for the Archons as well as the Shades. However, it's not just Asmoday, but also Paimon. I would say they are different, or maybe in a different form. And if you remember about the Venti voice actress situation, Istaroth and Barbatos are also two different entities. They might not be the same person, but they're somehow connected. And it definitely could be the case with Paimon and Asmoday. It's almost 100% the case. And actually, let's just go back to Venti a little bit. Since Venti has been dropping us some lores like very early on in the game, his hello line goes like, "Yawn, this is a refreshing sleep. Oh, traveler, we meet again. What? You don't remember me? Ah, suspicious. Well, allow me to join you on your quest once again. Once again. I must see to it that the bards of the world tell the traveler's tales." He was also the first one, and I think so far the only one who talked about Genshin, like mentioning the game's title Genshin by Genshin. I think in English it was translated as something like Elogenes, but in Japanese it means like the original god. So he knows something, and he is somehow connected to Istra, and both of them were worshipped in Mondstadt. But just for a little moment, back to the new master thingy. If this new master is not the traveler, who else could it be? I think another very simple explanation could be the second one who came, who we just don't know anything about. We don't even know if the second one who came survived or not. We just know that the primordial one, who is most like the heavenly principles, and the second who came had a fight, and no one really knows what happened, because only people in Enconomia even heard about this. And first of all, they have been extinct, and also just like they were sealed away, so they didn't really know what was happening. Everyone just assumed that the second one who came died, but it was never mentioned, and it actually is very explicitly vague. So I think that's another possible way who she could be serving now. And then they realize there is someone watching, and that someone is Pierro. And we see the Conrian destruction once again. I still don't know why each one of those cubes would contain a universe. Like, why is this the way that the ruler space would do this thing? But I mean, we seen one of them destroyed, and they said that this space-time is now pronounced dead. They has to be like different space-times. As we also see the destruction in Conria. I tried to watch all the frames. Nothing really to take away from here, it's just good animation. And he seeks vengeance against the Shades. You knew Pierro? Rindotir, this is Rindotir who's speaking here. You knew Pierro? They somehow, some way had a closer connection than just knowing about each other. And she's talking about how the fact that he is now working for Shiznia Stritza hopefully helped him let go of his obsessions. And I mean, there's gonna be some theories here. You already know there's gonna be some theories. Conrians were obsessed with summoning people from outside Tibet into Tibet. It might be the obsession that she's talking about here. In which case, if they know each other, he also talking about how he tried to go above the gods. What if he is a sinner? We know the sinners' names, but not necessarily too much besides them. And Pierro is not really his real name. That's just in the Italian Commedia dell'arte, the jester, which is his code name as well in English. But we don't know his real name. And while we already know some things about the visionary verse for the visionary, we obviously know Rindotir Gold, as well as just lately Sertorocci the Foal. Not much is known about the other two, one of them being Hropchatir, the Wise. Another one is Rerir, Raher of Sonari. I've probably butchered this one. But both Rerir and Raher means something like having vengeance against someone. Does this guy have vengeance? Just how we're finding out right after the scene. I mean, I saw the other one, the Hropchatir, the Wise. He's wise, he's apparently a sage. So, I mean, I guess like both descriptions somewhat applies to him. But I'm just saying, we still don't know the other two sinners. And why else would Rindotir just know about him? Very suspicious. I think he's one of them. And while the Heavenly Principal is asleep, there is a very good chance for the Tsaritsa. And here is something else I want to talk about. Rules in quoting marks in both Japanese and English. What are the things they are forbidden to do? We have seen crazy things so far. Obviously, the one with Fossador. And even if that didn't wake up the Heavenly Principal, what are the Shades afraid of? What kind of rules they have? And then obviously, nod-krai. We are gearing up to nod-krai, and there it is in its beauty. It has a very like mechanical, like futuristic kind of like sci-fi ship vibes in the background with the pale star. As at this point, it's basically confirmed that they are trying to make like a moon or a god or something like that. Almost certainly that is the reason they're collecting the Gnosis. And just as a reminder, they do not have the Paragnosis. They're still in the possession of Mavuika, so their plan is not full just yet. But the pale star in the background could be the operations headquarters, and they wanna combat Celestia with their own god, basically. I talked about this beforehand very extensively on this channel as well. The visions, Kaminome, literally just means the god's eyes. And I have to mention, I literally just talked about the Gnosis. The Gnosis is Kamina Kokoro, which is the god's heart. those are different parts of the god. Now, he says that it's called kaminome or visions because the gods are like looking down at you. And that brings the question, what is the gnosis? Kami no kokoro once again. So the god's heart, that would be that the god is loving us. And at least not us, but the archons. And this is a very old thing. It was like mentioned once in a hangout event. Paimon was called the voice. And if you play this in Japanese or Chinese, you know that they also use the same structure as for like the visions and the gnosis. There was Kami no Kuchi, which is the god's mouth. Paimon has something to do with the shades, with the heavenly principles, with the heavens. Something. Could be if the Kami no Me, the god's eyes, the visions, are god's glaze, and that's how they see everything. Could be Paimon being the god's mouth is being used to guide the traveler by a god who might just be Asmoday. But this is all a theory, a Genshin theory. And here is something that just a crazy sentence to say. Already know what is the price when you're gazing up to the gods, when you want to be like gods basically. What is the price for killing a god? Is it the heavenly principles they're trying to just absolutely murder? Heavenly principles is asleep. The shade said that it might be the perfect time they have a chance to do that. And here is a thing. Now, talking about a god here, doesn't say which god. So it could be a lot of gods. Could be archons. Could be the shades, though I wouldn't say they're gods. And I mean, there have been multiple descenders. Primordial one, the second who came, both could be gods. We don't know if this is necessarily about the heavenly principles. It just says the god stays silent. And I mean, if the primordial one and heavenly principles is asleep, you know, I kind of assume they're just not explicit. But for the first time, it is referred to as he, as if the thought has never once crossed his mind. So this might be the heavenly principles. And to be fair, I want to mention this, even though translations have gotten much better ever since 1.0, I don't think there would be a mistake like that. But in Japanese, they don't mention the gender of the heavenly principles. And to be fair, Japanese is not really a gendered language, like they could have mentioned it, but it's like usually not mentioned. However, in Chinese, they use the word ta, which technically could mean he, him. That is more of a masculine pronoun, but it also could be used like they, them in English when you don't know the gender of who you're talking about. So that is still not necessarily explicit. But since I said translation got a much better since 1.0, and up until this point, heavenly principles was very explicitly never mentioned, like even with they, them, that we could be seeing that the heavenly principles is a guy. And it also would mean that the heavenly principles is one person, because in English it sounds a little bit weird. But to be fair, in Japanese, Tenri, it's like more of him. Not necessarily a common name, but you know, it's like sounds more natural and shorter. And then one final word from the Tsaritsa. Even gods have limits as we are panning towards Celestia. One more thing I really wanted to talk about because this is crazy. The Frost Moon Scions. Make sure that they do not pose a threat to their operation. Who are the Frost Moon Scions? The Frost Moon Scions are a group who still worship the moon goddesses. They live in the mountain far from their old civilization, and they are one of the remaining ones who are still believing in the moon goddesses and actively worshipping them. Now, why would this group pose a threat to their operation? And also, what operation, first of all? The Pale Star Edict. This is their big operation, as we know, Columbina. We also know from the web event that for the Fatui, this is the highest command, the Pale Star Edict. And once again, what kind of threat could the group who worship the Moon Sisters cause for this Pale Star operation? This is likely about making a moon sister, like an artificial moon sister, or like a moon god who has the purest form of elemental energy. Could be the reason they're collecting all the narcissists. And only one question remains in this video, and it has been a long video, I know. But one question still remains. The Domslet, also known as Columbina, who's currently in the nod-krai, she needs to be retrieved. In Japanese, basically what they're saying, just bring her back. Whatever it takes, bring her back. Why is she wanna stay in nod-krai? Like, there is a reason she's there? Does she have anything to do with like the Moon Sister group? Could be a part of that group? It definitely feels like that by some force, be it her own force or just being forced to be there. Somehow it's gonna be hard to get her back from nod-krai. Obviously, that begs the question, is she gonna be turned into a god? Wouldn't be the first time the Fatui tried something like that, is all I'm saying. And I would say that they should have learned from their mistakes. But as you know, Scaramouche deleted himself from the Irminsul, so I guess they don't even know that they tried it once. Or maybe that's why she's in the nod-krai, to find out more about the Moon Sisters, the moon, from the Frost Moon Sions, the Moon Sister worshippers. So that could be the reason that they might be a threat to the operation, because they don't want to let her go? Or maybe she just likes being there. I'm getting tired. I have been a little recording for more than 2 hours now. A lot of interesting content is coming. Hopefully some a little shorter as well. But we have just gotten so much lore. This is probably the biggest lore drop we have gotten ever since like the Knight's Lasso, the Fatui trailer. This is a crazy video, so I think it deserves a little bit of a longer runtime. But anyways, if you like this video, make sure to give a like. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. I also have membership now on the channel, which I'm gonna be honest, I haven't thought about any perks. If you want to support me, you can also join the members. And also if you know any perks I could give, just let me know. But nonetheless, I was here with my Genshin channel, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye!